Welcome to Simply Sheppy, your community podcast which aims to create and enhance connections within the community to build a better Sheppy.
Hello and welcome. I am Kay Carter, and this episode, myself and Nicola Webster are a little starstruck as we are interviewing DJ Touch, the international DJ, who is not only a leader of the radio waves with her distinctive garage sounds, but is also the founder of Feminine Pressure, which, amongst other things, facilitates women entering the world of radio. Hello, and thank you for being with us today.
Hi, nice to meet you.
To start us off, Touch, I believe we call you. Tell us, how did you get into radio?
Okay, so basically, I've been buying music as a child. I was really into, I had a paper round, and then I used to buy records, 7-inch records from Woolworths. And so every Saturday when I got paid, I'd shoot down Woolworths and come home and I'd drive my mum mad. And I had all the top charts and stuff. And on a Sunday, my mum bought me a tape recorder. And I used to sit down on a Sunday night and make everyone be really quiet and still in the whole house. And I used to record the radio just to get the top 10. And then I'd play it back all week. And whatever songs I didn't get, I ended up going and buying them. My nan also bought me Puppy Love by Donny Osmond. That was one of the first vinyls I ever got. And I was touching it and I just couldn't believe what it was made of. And it actually had sound coming out of it. And that was sort of like a big part of my music influence. And then as I got older, I decided that I really wanted to get into radio. I was addicted to listening to pirate radio in London, hearing all different diverse music. And I realised that national radio wasn't what I was into. And I was really more into sort of dance music. And then I asked a friend of mine called Timmy Magic, he's from the Dream Team. And he said, I'll come and teach you how to mix. So he come round and we did our first lesson. And he went home and I was still a nervous wreck and really worrying about all sorts of stuff. But one thing that really intrigued me, I was really into the electronic side of it. I wanted to get my tape recorder and take it apart, or take the needle off the record player and put it back on again and see how it worked and stuff like that. And my granddad, it turns out, I found out sort of many years later, that when he was in the war, in World War II, he was a hero, and when he came back and during the war, he used to build radios. So I obviously got this in my genes, that my granddad was actually build radio and he'd transmit locally in Tooting Beck in South London and different places that they lived at. So it's obviously something that's really passionate to me. And then once I learned to mix, I just wanted to sort of, take it that little bit further.
And take it into, and grow it into what you've got today. So the passion started quite young for you.
Yeah, I mean, I was about 9, I think, when I started really getting into it, really into the music. My mum said she's going to be a musician, but I could not play an instrument to save my life. So I didn't know where I was going to end up, like, in music. But I used to follow all the top bands, and then I used to it's a really broad range, like Luther Vandross, and then Soft Cell, and then Ultravox, and then electronic music. It was so good for me because it was at a time when music technology was evolving. And all these great sounds like the Thriller album and, Quincy Jones and them sort of producers was coming out, and the music was so great. It was such a good time to be involved in music and to actually be a listener of radio and watching the Top of the Pops on TV with such a diverse range and black music as well just coming through. It was such a good time. So that was sort of where I got into the radio. And then someone said to me, through buying records, and I kept going to record shops and sort of meeting people and trying to sort of say, I'm DJ Touch, and be, hi, And then I sort of asked someone one day, like, where could I get into pirate radio? And they said, down Holloway Road, there's a record shop. So I popped down there really quickly. Obviously, I was a bit nervous in the shops. I spent like about 30, 40 quid on records, just trying not to get my nerves to sort of calm down. And then I just asked the gentleman behind, a really great guy, and he said, yeah, sure, when do you want to start? And the next day I was in Holloway in some place broadcasting, and I was so nervous that I took Jazzy D with me, who's one of my long-term friends now. So he would do the mic and I'd play the records, and then for about 3 years people thought I was a man because when they met, like, oh, I thought you was a guy, and I was like, no, someone else talking to mics. I'm so scared, and all this sort of stuff. So that was quite a funny experience. So that was the beginning of my journey really into radio.
Okay, you were incredibly brave to walk into that shop.
So I was.
Well, I think that bravery kept you going, didn't you? Because you've had quite a fulfilling career since then. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so the career started off on this little station called Rhythm FM in London, and then that developed to Freak FM, which is one of the most biggest garage pirate stations. It was really the foundation of the sound, and I managed to get on there, and that was because all the DJs from Rhythm went over, and I was the first female and the most prominent female for at least sort of 10 years. No other girls were really doing it, and so started off there, and then the UK Garage Sound came, and it was a collective effort from all the pirate DJs at the time who just liking this new sound and making it work. And so I went from there. I've done shows on Kiss FM. I went on a tour to America. I've done a round the world tour. I've toured the whole of the UK. I've done probably 90% of all of the radio stations in London. Like I said, I did a guest show on Kiss. Then it was like recently, I sort of took a break. The garage scene was really growing fast, and I moved out to Kent, and I come down here thinking it's going to be great down in Kent. And I left London behind for a new beginnings. I went to university, and then I started looking at the radio scene here. And so I've been on Innocence FM, which was over in Maidstone. I've done TF Live. I've done Juice FM. I've done so many different ones locally, but none of them have really been sort of that constant. They'd be up for 6 months or maybe a year, and then they sort of disappear off the radar. So what I did, I started a DJ school at Canterbury College, and that ran for 11 years in the night school. And I taught hundreds of people in Kent, because I realised they just didn't know about this skill. In fact, they didn't even have decks at the college when I turned up, and I moaned like, oh, I haven't got my instrument, I need decks, I don't play the guitar. And I started this DJ school, and then people kept coming back to me saying, oh, could you recommend a station? So I'd send them up to London and send them on to different people that I knew, using all my sort of contacts. And then the internet came, so people were able to stream online, so that opened up more doors. And then all these DJs that I taught are now come real far, and they work with me over at Garage Nation that I run at the Source Bar. We do Back to the Classics tour, Kent tour. So a lot of the DJs from that school are still in touch with me today, and we all work together. One event 5 years ago, every single DJ, apart from the main stage, I'd taught every single one of them, and it was like, it's like I had an Oscar when I walked in. They're all clapping, touch. I'm like, oh, guys, thanks so much. You know what I mean? It's like, this one's for my mum. It's one of them moments. So, yeah, I mean, I've been all around the world, done all sorts of stuff. And it has mapped out my life, because I went to university, studied music technology, got my own record label now, and started sharing my skills with more people. And that's been my journey so far.
And I believe one of the ways that you're sharing your skills is you're in a book at the moment.
Yeah, well, I've been, so this book came out, How to DJ Properly. It came out quite a while ago. It came out originally, I think, about 2004, something like that, 2006 maybe. And they went to my website, femininepressure.com, and they took one of my passages, which says about girl DJing, and they put it in this book, but more on that bit later.
So this passion that you got when you're 9, and all of these achievements that you've had throughout your career, would you be able to pick out the one thing that you like the most about radio?
The thing that keeps me going every day and every week, still now, every single week for 30 years now, is the sense of belonging that you get when you're working with that team, and how you connect with your fans and your audience. And just a simple thing like a text comes through or a phone call or an email, and that gives you this overwhelming feeling that you've got a purpose. So it's a sense of belonging. It's also the entertainment factor as well. I love the challenge. You know, if I'm a very competitive person, I want to be number one all the time. So once I got into radio, one thing I noticed that there was no girls. And that I think was the biggest driving force behind me ever. And then I started Feminine Pressure, which was all about girl DJs. And I brought in so many DJs and worked with some cracking girls, trained them up, and they've come already with their skills in hand. And I've pushed the female brand to try and get women more recognised in the radio industry. And I think it's working. Slowly but surely, we've chipped away at it and we're getting there. So that's the other thing. And also, you know, being recognised in the street sometimes, just for someone hearing your voice. You know, I've been in Asda and they go, "Are you DJ Touch?" I'm like, "Really?" And they go, "Oh yeah, I recognise your voice from the radio." And I'm like ordering, like, you know, my pizza at Asda or something. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, pizza, pepperami, and I go, "You're DJ Touch." So that's quite good. But I've got a bit of a husky voice on the radio.
I heard you on the radio, actually, Touch, and your voice is slightly different on the radio. You've definitely got a radio voice when I listen to you on the radio.
Yeah, I know. I turn into this DJ Touch monster, you know, and I have got a very distinctive voice on radio, but I don't even know how I even turn into that. I just get on. So.
Oh.
So you were talking about this lack of females. Why do you think there is a lack of females in radio?
I think basically it's the stigma attached to it. Historically, if you go back through the 60s, the pirate radio era, you know, go back right back even to the Titanic, you know, you can go back so far and you never ever hear of a woman presenter. So historically, it's been a man's club. It's been very prominent men doing it, and in the 70s and 80s as well. It's still really, really not been represented enough. And I think because there's a stigma that only men can do it, and so women feel they can't come forward because they're quite wary that it's not something that women do. But that's really, really, really got to change. I mean, it has got better. And from 30 years ago, when I first started out, it has improved a lot, but not enough. And we need to break that stigma down. And I've done it in Kent quite a lot, because out of the girls that I've taught, every single girl from Canterbury College has gone on to do really well in the scene. And I think it's having another girl that's done it before to talk to, it gives them that confidence to go forward.
So you are the trailblazer, but then you were the brave one who walked into that shop on Holloway Road and put yourself forward, weren't you? So you are the person to follow there, I think.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope people will look to me and think, yeah, I can do that. You know, that's the idea of it all, anyway.
So that's a fantastic aim of something that you want to achieve through the radio. Is there anything else that you wanted to achieve through your radio, or anything in particular?
Achievements through radio, really. I've always wanted to be, you know, on national radio at some point. That was an achievement that I wanted. But I'm a family girl, you know, I've got 2 children. When I first started, my son was 5, he's now 32, or however very old he is. And, you know, now my other son is 22. So I've always had to, at the end of the day, go home to my family and my children. And then, of course, I was studying for 8 years. So I had a choice. Do I go for the big guns, or do I go for my education? And I chose education. I'm so glad I did, because it opened up opportunities, not just for me, so many more people as well. I've got these opportunities. It's fantastic.
So it sounds like you've been really influential to youngsters getting into the game. Can you share with the listeners how people can get into radio if it was something they were wanting to explore?
Okay, so first of all, what they must do and need to do is to just work out what kind of music they really like. They've got to decide, do I like I'm going to talk dance music for the minute, okay? But it doesn't have to be dance music. But you can say, oh, I like drum and bass, or I like UK garage, I like bassline house, I like you can soul, I like other forms, disco music. I like you can come up with so many different types of music, but you do need to have what your music is. So once you've decided what your music is going to be, and you can build and you can change and divert, but you have to have a starting point so that you've got a collection. If you've got a music collection, it might be very small. You can then start to work out, make your playlist, and then you could approach people. Like one thing that I recommend everyone to do is actually get this book. It's a newer version. This is the original, okay, that I was given by the publisher. But there's a new version. It's called How to DJ Properly. And it's got all the tips and tricks for everything you need to do, from mixing on CDs, beat matching, using the sync button. Don't like that word, sync button, but if you've got to use it, use it. So that's a really good starting point. And doing your research as well. Researching music, knowing where your music comes from, because you might get a listener ringing up and ask you a question and ask you for a song you haven't got, and you've got to know that, oh, I need to get that, or, oh, I didn't know they made that song. So it's really good to do your research and to get that sort of, buzz going inside yourself that you love and your passion, because particularly if you're a female, if you don't know your stuff, you could feel quite intimidated. So I've been to a recording studio before, and I've sat there and they said, oh, make her a cup of tea, So and then they start saying, oh, don't worry, love, we'll help you with the button, And I said, that's all right, darling, I'll rewire it for you if you like. It's not a problem. I do know how to do it. And that's one reason I went to uni, so that I could actually stand by my truth and have that knowledge and skill, so that people I don't feel intimidated. But lessons, you can have lessons locally, and that's another great thing. Look out for some short courses. And also maybe approaching BRFM or a local station over at Sheppy, Sheppy FM. You can approach them and they could give you some advice and guidance. Or you can come to my DJ school. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, so the technology side of radio presenting, that shouldn't really put people off.
No, the technology has got easier and easier. It's really, you don't need to know everything in this room. You just need to know the decks and the mixer and your volumes and your headphones. The rest is pretty much automatic these days. So there's no fear.
That's really good to hear. Yeah, and the generation these days, they're quite savvy on technology, but if it is simpler now to understand, that's quite encouraging for anybody who would like to get into radio. So Touch, what qualities does an individual need to have to be a popular radio presenter?
Okay, so you've got to have a sense of humour. Okay, you've got to really have a laugh. Okay, you've got to have a laugh at yourself as well, because things happen live on air and you've really got to just, laugh at yourself. You have to have a bit of a professional attitude of where you want in your direction. You need to have willingness to improve over time, because every DJ starts off, and that's absolutely fine. The best part is their journey. They must be prepared to go on a journey. And that is the biggest strength you need. You need to get up, get on your journey. And that journey might have little breaks in it, little pauses, and you change station, or you change club, or you're looking for gigs or whatever. But you've just got to have that willingness to improve over time. And then if you've got that, and a great voice, which also comes in time, it does take time and you will get better. And listening to constructive feedback as well. I will say this, a lot of men don't listen to constructive feedback, but girls really do. They listen, they take it on board, and they do them changes. So that's fantastic.
There's a variety of different types of radio that people could explore, have an interest in. Could you tell us a little bit about the different types of radio? Okay, so let's talk local for now. We've got our local community station, which is based in the community and supports the community audience. And that is traditionally what the audience wants. So you might find your community radio might be dedicated to
70s, 80s, 90s music, a bit of 20s, bit of millennium, but in general, just the general kind of popular music. Then you've got something like Funky SX, which is also a community station, which is dance. And it's non-stop garage, 24 hours a day, all house music. And it's really upbeat and really enjoyable. And a lot of people tune in. If they can't go out in lockdown, they've been locking in and having their Friday night party at home with the kids, you know, and reminiscing the old days, you know, when they used to go out in the past. And they've also got talk radio, which I love. And I really do recommend everybody that hears this podcast, tune into some talk radio, LBC or talk radio or talk sport, because it makes you feel like you're not on your own. If it's a phone-in show, you know, they're talking about COVID testing or whatever is going on, and you don't agree with it or they do, you listen to them and you've got all these ideas of people, you know, letting off their ideas on the phone. It makes you feel like you're not isolated. I actually love LBC at the moment, and I argue as well. I go, oh, I don't agree with you, mate, you know, and all that sort of stuff. And then I quite enjoy that. And you got your 24-hour dance music stations, and you got your national radios, you know, and your Kiss FMs, and what they've been doing lately, they've all got their own 24-hour non-stop dance music stations now, which we can't pick up on the island because we've got very poor signal in Kent. The BBC are working on it, they've told me recently, so fingers crossed for a better signal.
So a wide variety of different radio stations, and you touched upon it that in lockdown, with more and more people working from home, radio has become ever more popular, hasn't it?
Radio has exploded in the last year. It's gone from, you know, this much in popularity to everyone wants to be a radio star now. Now, go back at 2 years ago, and I'm still doing radio, they're like, oh no, I'm doing clubs, or I'm doing this, but I do a bit of everything. But radio for me it has cut out my career because it gives you a little path. So yeah, that's that.
So are you running any radio projects that people of Sheppy could get involved in?
Okay, so I have got a couple of things in the pipeline. Most importantly, I run a DJ school. Okay, it's Touch School of DJs. I've been running it from here for about 6 years. And basically what you need is 6 lessons. And I can promise you'll be mixing on the first lesson. And after your 6th lesson, you won't need to see me again until you come back for further development a year on, or some more advice and guidance. So I teach a lot of young people as well. I've got 2 people. I've got one young girl in Minster, and she's in year 9. And I've got another lady in Sittingbourne, and she's in year 8. And they're just coming on board. I've done 3 lessons with them. And straight away you learn mixing, a little bit of scratching, and the microphone. And I'm on it with the mic, and the young girls love the microphone, which is so fantastic. But that's kind of what I do with the Touch School of DJ. And the other thing that I do, DJ, while I do run events normally, but unfortunately I'm not running events, but I do a lot of events. So most DJs that know me can get involved with my club nights that I do. And I encourage all my DJs, whether they're radio or club DJs, and you can actually, you end up being both at all times. And I encourage them to get up and join with the Kent promotions, because there's a lot going on in Kent. In fact, we've done Tantra.
So where can they get in touch with you? Where can they reach out to you if they're interested in these 6 radio sessions that you're offering? Okay, so they can come to my website, which is www.femininepressure.com. Or they can contact me on Facebook, DEEJAY, DJ Touch, spelt the long way and not the 2 letters. Hit me up on there. I've got a Feminine Pressure page on there. I've got a Touch School of DJs page on there. So I am on there, also on Instagram as well. So I am about, and I'm available. If you go to my website, there is a contact page where you can send me a text, or you can join us on Telegram. I'm sure after this, you'll be very popular. So we know that you're active on the radio. We can hear you. Where and when can we hear you on the radio at the moment? So I'm on Funky SX, 103.7 FM. And I'm on Tuesday night, 8 o'clock till 9:30, playing the best in new garage and some old garage.
And you can also speak to Alexa. Alexa, play Funky SX on a Tuesday, and you can hear me on there. But tune into 103.7. You can get it.
You've just set my Alexa off, Touch.
Oh, I love it.
Look at that. She's listening.
I told you it works.
Yeah, it definitely works. She's still talking now.
See, there's an impromptu test for you.
That's what I love about live stuff.
Yeah, tune in, because I've been listening every Tuesday, and it is a pucker radio station, and Touch, you're awesome on there on a Tuesday night.
Thank you.
So listen and get inspired, and be the brave person who walks into the shop and contact DJ Touch through her website to see how you can get involved.
Do that.
So this podcast is also about the Isle of Sheppy. It's about people living and working on the Isle of Sheppy, and how they interact with it and how they connect to it. So my next questions are about, what are your favourite things about the Isle of Sheppy?
Well, when I moved here 20 years ago, and I moved here, I was thinking, yeah, I moved to Kent, it's going to be great. And there wasn't a lot going on. The only place there was anything going on was actually on the Isle of Sheppy. So I used to take my children over to the amusement park before McDonald's was built there then. We've been going there for years, especially when they were young, in the Sandpit Park. And the beaches were just phenomenal. I've always enjoyed the beaches. They're so drawing for me because, one, they're great, they're clean, and the fresh air that comes, and you can have great family walks. So for me, I think the beaches have been the bit that I've really loved, and the community on the island have always been very welcoming, and they're so used to people coming on the island because they are a holiday island. So you do get a really diverse bunch of people, and that's what I love about Sheppy. It's very diverse, and it's on the up, and it's getting more and more diverse every week. So yay!
Oh, we have to agree with you about the beaches, and obviously Nicola did her own podcast about the sea glass on the beaches, so that's quite a common theme on these podcasts, I think, about how great the beaches of the Isle of Sheppy are.
Yeah.
But what do you think that the Isle of Sheppy needs to be a better place to live?
Okay, so I think that the 30 plus crowd are not represented enough on the island with entertainment. I feel there could be a couple of nicer restaurants. So we could do a garage brunch or something like that, because that's the way forward. It's going to be music, and sort of dinner dance type thing is really coming in fashion now. And I think they could do with a new venue, most definitely, because we've only got one sort of real main venue and a couple of others that are, spotted around the island. What I would really like to push forward would be to have a Sheppy festival. We need a Sheppy festival, maybe Sheppy Rocks. I know it's not quite Ibiza, but we've got Smoochie and we've got M.Dot, we've got lots of artists on this island that are really fantastic. And wouldn't it be great if we did, like, maybe every 3 years, the Great Sheppy Festival, bit of music festival, because there's so many great people on this island that like to reminisce and remember the old days and go out and shake a leg. I mean, we've got to shake a leg, haven't we? Do you know what I mean? So that's something. So if there's anyone out there that's got a big venue that would like me to come and put an event on, I've got a team of people ready to go for events. We're looking for venues at the moment, looking for a venue on the island. Maybe a farmer would like to donate his field. That would be really cool. And then we could have a really good festival. I think that's really crucial onto the island. It's just a bit more better entertainment for the 30 plus crew, because there's a lot of us on the island.
I think that'd be great, and I love the idea that now we're in our 30s rather than our teens, we'd like some dinner with our dancing and our music. I don't remember quite eating quite that much when I was out clubbing when I was in my 20s, but we have moved on. But yeah, so thank you very much, Touch.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure. And I'm sure that you have inspired many from this podcast today. And thank you for everyone for listening. This is your community podcast, remember. So if you would like to be a guest on our podcast or have any suggestions or feedback, please do let us know. But for now, see you later.
See you later.
Bye.